Welcome to the second Careers and Beers collab. I'm Franklin Buchanan. That's Gina Riley. She's going to tell you about her in a minute. I've been doing Careers and Beers since 2021, and I thought to myself, if breweries can do great collaborations, so can career coaches. So it's my pleasure to be here today with my friend Gina Riley. I have a Creature Comforts Tropicalia. Gina's got a special Irish. Wait, Irish? Are we Irish? Is that it? Yes, we're Irish. It's
The
it's
luck
it's
of the
March.
Irish, Franklin. Yes.
So Gina, give us a little intro.
Okay. Gina Riley. I am an author and a career coach. My book is called Qualified Isn't Enough because in today's marketplace, it's not. You have to go the extra mile, build a unique value proposition, get your stories straight before you write a resume and start a job search. So that's a
And,
little bit about me.
and that book, I think, is a great segue into the topic that I wanted to talk to you about today because I've read it in Forbes that you wrote, and the word executive presence, I feel like it's A, it's a great term, but B, I don't even think it applies to executives anymore. I think you need that presence in this hyper competitive job market. So, what are a couple of tips, Gina, that you give your clients when you're advising them on polishing that presence as they go into maybe a job interview?
I love this question so much. And what I'm going to do is frame it as, oh, you cracked open your beer?
Oh, yeah, you got it.
Dang
Oh, yeah.
it. Okay. I hope I don't spray this all over my. So this is like on nitro, like a little nitro thing in there.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
And then, yeah. And then I brought the fancy glass.
Uh,
So
oh,
there's
man.
there's that Guinness foam going. So I have to let it
Perfect.
settle. Okay. Let's call this professional presence. So if a person doesn't
Hmm.
feel like I'm an executive, it doesn't matter because executive presence, the foundation is it's social science. It's actually researched. So there's three dimensions of executive presence. One is how we look, our appearance. The second is how we speak, communication. And the last is how we act or gravitas. And of the 17 micro elements in these three dimensions, my number one, not number one by the science, my number one is reading the room.
Hmm. Hmm.
You've got to read every single room you walk into. You got to read the Zoom room. You got to read the recruiters that you're talking to. You got to read the hiring team. You got to read your prospective boss. Everyone in the ecosystem is a decision maker when you start interviewing. Even people that refer you, that's a decision maker. They can decide to blow it off and not refer you. So if you're not cluing into people and using that EQ, that emotional intelligence, and other people are superseding you with that, then that's what qualified isn't enough. You can have the same qualifications as the next person or the four other people in the room, but if you don't step up with that presence and read the room and meet people where they are and answer the questions that are on their mind, you'll have some misses.
That misses. That's, I think, the perfect way to describe it, and especially answering the questions that you're being asked, because I see it from clients, prospective clients, just job seekers in general. They're in an interview and I don't know if it's over preparation or too much rehearsing. Maybe they watched a conglomeration of too many YouTube videos on how to do interviews, but they anticipate the question that's coming. And even
Mm-hmm.
if it's similar to the question that's being asked, if it's they're prepping their answer to the question they think they're being asked versus what was actually there.
I hear that. I
Um,
hear that.
yes. And I say this, if you're not quite sure, because it's human nature, just clarify the question a little bit and dig down and try to figure out what they're getting first. So I want to go back to the gravitas thing, 'cause I think that's
Mhm.
something that's really, really hard. I'm not going to sit here and say you either have it or you don't, because I do think certain ways that you can carry yourself
You
can
can
present it.
develop it. Yeah.
Yes. What would you?
Ooh, that's a twist because I was going to talk about the top two elements of gravitas.
Mm,
So, all right, how does one develop gravitas? Let me start with what's the most important ranked by the science. The top two things are confidence and decisiveness. confidence, and decisiveness. And so what happens when a person isn't showing up with that is it might sound like this when they answer questions. If I'm a leader and then I'm saying, oh, we did this and we did that, we delivered on XYZ, it's not amplifying what you led in order to activate a team to deliver on something. Or it might be waffling on how a decision was bounced to you and the buck stops with you and you couldn't make that decision. So there's a lot of things regarding confidence, decisiveness, how we speak, how we literally like take a pause, speak a little more slowly. Those are the things that help amplify whether or not we're trustworthy and we have confidence, and people then develop confidence in us. How do you develop it? Oh my gosh, Franklin, practice, getting feedback, getting mentors. I'm a speaker coach in the Speaker Skills Academy. I have to create 6 drills every quarter, and our community comes together and we do little micro drills. When you have to practice and you're on the spot, almost like playing, not charades, but you're playing, it's almost like playing games and you're having to think of things on the fly. That is a great way to develop your ability to speak and think on your feet.
That is interesting. I want to go back to you mentioned pause, and I didn't create this, the power of the pause. I don't know who created that terminology, but I think it's one of the most underutilized things because silence, in my opinion, is not awkward. But in most people, silence gives the appearance of awkwardness. And even there, where I just had about a 2 second pause, wasn't awkward for me, what probably wasn't awkward for you, might have been awkward for a listener. I don't know. But if you're in an interview with people that you don't know, you often feel like you have to fill that space. What's one tip that you might give somebody that's going on an interview to be able to have the confidence to take a breath and pause while they're talking?
Mm. I'm going to go back to you need to practice this ahead of time. You can do it at your dinner table. You could do it with a best friend or you're out for coffee. You're telling a story, you're explaining something, and you need to be cognizant or aware of taking that beat, taking a moment. And I'll tell you another little trick, Franklin, because I created a drill about hand gestures in the Speaker Skills Academy, is you can also use hand gestures to emphasize a point or illustrate something. So there are these little tricks that you can use to come across more confident and take a little bit more time when you communicate. By the way, speaking slowly is also one element of executive presence.
Yes. You watch any, and the interesting thing about that is, and I'm a natural fast talker. I don't know if it's the Southern aspect in me, but I just can't help sometimes but to go. And so it's oftentimes a struggle for me to slow down a little bit. And I had some training in my corporate world on that. So, but you're right about the practice thing. And I would be a terrible salesperson if I didn't said, yeah, practice with a friend, practice with a colleague, or hire me or Gina, and we'll help you practice too. And I can tell you whether you hire me or her, you're gonna get your money's worth and then some.
You'll
So,
get the truth. You'll get
yes.
the truth. Well, you'll get our version of the truth, right? Because we want people to be better.
And I think one of the benefits in hiring a coach, whether it's me, whether it's Gina or somebody else, is that we've been on the other side of that table asking the questions that you're getting and listening to the answers. And we know, we might not be an expert in engineering, but we're an expert in delivery of a message. And we help you shape that. Gina, what would be one big takeaway that you would want someone to just think on regarding executive presence?
Okay, I'm going to go back to the thing I think is most important, which is reading the room. And one way to read the room is to do a really good job on your company and people research when you enter the interview ecosystem. You should have already been making assumptions about the people that you are interviewing with. And of course, you're checking your assumptions because We're not always right.
Yeah.
You're scouring the news, you're using AI to come up with hypothesis about where the company is headed. And when you step into the room, now you can put on a consultant's hat and be curious, ask questions. And the best way to read the room is to get other people talking so you can read them.
Yeah. Uh, Interviews or conversations. You're not a steak and you're not getting grilled. It's an opportunity to identify if you want to work there as much as they want you to work there. And when you can create that conversation, that's one of the things that makes you memorable. So, speaking of reading the rooms, Peanut, my dog, is not reading the room. She's tugging the runner on this, and that's why the camera is moving. Um,
I didn't even
so,
notice.
uh,
Maybe it's because I was moving. I don't
I mean,
know.
Peanut, if you're gonna do that, you gotta
Yeah,
show your face.
just there you go. Peanut has to make the video.
Oh,
Oh,
Peanut.
oh,
All right,
that's
go
the
on.
star right there.
She is the star. So, Gina, thank you for coming on this. I appreciate you. If you haven't followed Gina on LinkedIn, please do so. She is an expert in this field, someone that I've had a great deal of admiration for a long time. Get her book, send her a connection request, and cheers, Gina.
Cheers, and I am a big fan of yours, Franklin. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Say is the number one thing that an individual needs to do to develop that gravitas.